Hello, friends. Welcome to my live counseling session. And as you must have guessed from the subject here, the idea is to basically tell you how you can actually set up a business. Now, this counseling session is meant for everyone generally, and even if you are established business person, you may want to refine your ideas. You may want to brainstorm those ideas, and suppose you are a budding person, you have an idea, you want to convert that idea into business. This session will be very helpful, and this is absolutely free counseling. I'm giving it based on my understanding of the industry, because I've been associated with several companies. I have lived across across the world in various countries. I've had dealt with many situations. With 30 years of experience, I want to really help all the budding entrepreneurs so that they don't go wrong and burn their fingers. So the whole idea is to basically help you with how you can be successful. So basically, whoever is watching me live, they can actually interact with me. Your name will flash in this corner of the screen, and I can take up your question anytime during the show. I will stop whatever I'm doing and take up your questions. Even if you have an observation, or if you have some other different point of view, you must interrupt me and ask that question, and your question will flash on the screen. I will take your name, and we can have a resolution of either that question or your observation, whatever that may be. So don't feel shy about sharing your thoughts during this live stream. And this is again a counseling session. This is not a sales pitch. So I just want to make it very clear in the beginning that I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm only giving information, and that information may be useful for you, which I presume that at least 60 to 70% people will find it quite useful. But nevertheless, if you don't find it useful and if you want to value add, please feel free to intervene and value add, because your validation will help whoever watches this live stream or subsequently the video. All right. So the idea is to basically guide you. Say, for example, if you are a budding entrepreneur, you have just set up your organization, or you have an idea in your mind and you want to set up a business around that idea. So the steps required even before you start investing, that is the topic of subject today during our counseling session. So in order to make it more streamlined, I have divided into basically 4 bucket. I'm displaying this board to you right now. It's an old fashioned board, so that it basically it's not like a whiteboard. It's like a chalk. I prefer using chalk. So you have a plan, and you want to convert that plan into a business, and then you want to business basically means investment, because in order to carry out that plan, you need to buy certain things, you need to produce certain things, and then you have to sell certain things. Everywhere there will be little bit of expenses, and that is exactly what the investment is all about. So when we talk about a business and we talk about a plan, and then we want to make money out of that plan, we want to make an investment. So instead of not planning completely and investing, jumping on the investment, it is always better to plan. And therefore I have divided, we will have a long discussion, lengthy discussion, but primarily 4 points that I want to drive today. One is, how do you convert your idea and convert that into a potential business plan? Number 2 is that once you have a business plan or business sketch ready, a potential of it, and this is all happening before the investment. So the discussion today will primarily lie between planning to investment. Whatever happens in the investment, we will tackle that in the next class. So potential to customer to production. How do you basically plan your production? And then how do you generate revenue? Because now you're obviously producing certain things. So we will keep visiting this green board time and again to understand that we have not missed any point in this regard. So Let us start our uh, discussion today. So the first point is, how do you identify? You already have an idea in your mind, and how do you identify whether that idea has a potential? Now, let's say you have an idea. You think that this is a killer idea. It is in your mind, and you have done a lot of brainstorming with your friends, with probably in your colleagues, in your office, running through multiple stand-up meetings, discussing with your parents, discussing with your teachers, maybe. I mean, whoever you have discussed that idea, and everybody has either given you some feedback, negative or positive. And after discussing with so many people, you have come across some sort of image in your mind. You think that this idea can generate business for you, but then how do you test it? So whenever you talk about an idea, whether that idea has a potential, that is something that you need to understand. So identify a potential. So when you identify the potential, what potential actually you are talking about? The potential essentially, when you are in business, you are only talking about how this idea can generate so many thousands of dollars for me, or suppose the idea can generate $1 million for you, or 2 million, or 10 million, whatever that potential is. So if you are, say for example, if you are in a food industry, then obviously you know that there are great potential. We are only talking about potential. We are not talking about actual business at this point. So if your idea is giving a huge potential, that means if there is already a ready-made market for that idea, then it is a lot easier to penetrate that market. But if it is something new, if you want to do something pioneering, and nobody has done that, then you, even though you talk to your teachers, you talk to your peers, you talk to your colleagues, you talk to your ex-colleagues, you talk to your friends, parents, they will not be able to give you the right idea about that business, because nobody has seen that. So largely, if you have a sort of a green field, and if you are thinking of an idea which is something radically new, and there is no this is a pioneering work, that means you have to do a little bit of R&D, etc., etc. And if you are planning your business around it, the amount of potential that you will get is very hazy. So first thing that you need to keep in mind is that whatever idea you have, is there a ready market for it? Are there any other players? Are there competitors? Because if you have competition, you should not get scared. You should actually feel happy that if there are 10 other people selling in that market space, then with a good plan, you can also sell, because there are customers who are buying that product or that service or whatever that you want to sell. So when you have an idea, the idea can be put into two areas. One is whether it is a established need or demand based business that your idea is coming from, or is it something pioneering? When it is something pioneering, then you have to basically go with a higher risk, because when you convert your plan, your risk will be much more, because you never know whether there will be a market for it. Maybe it looks very jazzy at this point in time, it looks very futuristic, and you are very emotional about it, and you feel that this is going to be successful. You will get first mover advantage. There are a lot of pluses with this pioneering idea, but to convert that pioneering idea, to find the hard facts about whether this idea is sellable, is quite difficult. There are various ways to do it. You can do a little bit of surveys. You can go beyond the network that you have, which I have already mentioned, the network of teachers, peers, colleagues, friends, family. So you can go beyond the network, because this network is a very small subset of the entire market. So you can actually plan to conduct something called dipstick exercise, where you have an idea, and it's a pioneering idea, and you want to now test whether this idea can generate business. Are there any takers for this? Suppose you actually start producing a product, a pioneering product, a futuristic product, but are there any takers for it? Whether customer feel comfortable about it, and how many, when we talk about potential, how much business this pioneering idea can generate, what is the size of the industry. So one of the way of doing planning or coming out with this potential question, which is um, when you have to identify how much this idea is worth and whether I get the first mover advantage. Either you conduct the market survey or dipstick exercise in your own market, or you can approach some sort of an analyst who keep doing this evangelism kind of a work, and they keep working what is going to happen 6 months from today, and they keep generating these reports. And if you want to know exactly whether this idea fits into the industry, and since these analysts do a little bit of forecasting, they actually look ahead what is going to happen 6 months from now, what is going to happen 12 months from now. And then if your idea, which is very futuristic, if that idea figures into their report, then chances are that you will get the exact figure that what the analyst is doing. So essentially you are actually accessing the Gartner report, or these kind of analyst Forrester reports, and they have already done the heavy lifting of doing the dipstick for you, and they have consolidated all of that into a small report which you can refer. And that is the best way to validate the potential of that idea, because whatever the case may be, the idea has to generate some sort of business. So if you are looking at establishing your own organization, for example, if somebody is doing software testing, right, there are companies who are doing software testing services. That was a booming business 5-6 years back, because any software which you develop has to be tested thoroughly. Right now, the testing, manual testing, or different kind of testing that we talk about today is done by the automation. So the testing business has transformed from manpower based to automation. So today, if you're establishing a testing company, the chances are that you will not get too many opportunities for doing manual testing. Probably if you have something great in terms of automation, in terms of usage of AI, how you can reduce the cost of the customer, how can you provide early turnaround. If that is the kind of idea you have, then you are basically sitting on a good idea. That means you still see a potential of that idea for next 3 to 4 years. But if you're talking about something which was happening 5 years back and you're talking today, obviously your idea will not show great potential. So I think these are certain examples that I'm throwing to get an idea and have a fair picture of how much this idea can generate in terms of revenue for me is an important exercise. And that is the most important part of setting up the business. Even if you have set up the business and if you have not done that exercise, you have already registered your company, you are a startup, and you have not done this, you don't have a fair knowledge about the market potential of your product, then it is the right time to do it quickly. Because if you know what is the potential of services or the product that you're selling, and if you find that there is no future for it, then you can quickly change gears and do something else. So it is very, very, very critical. That is why this is the first point, to identify the potential of that idea. Once we have identified the potential for the idea, then we can move around and look at other things, which is, now that there are potential. That means there may be some customers who will actually end up buying this kind of a product that you want to produce. So where are these customers? Where are the paying customers? When we talk about customers, we are not talking about customers who are not paying free. It's not free, because when you set up your company, you obviously set up the company or a startup with the intention of making money. So if you are developing something by putting your own money, and then you are trying to get your first 10-15 clients by saying that, hey, use them, that could be part of your overall strategy That overall strategy we are not talking about, but then it's a bad idea from my point of view. Even if there are free customers in your network, in your ecosystem, that is a very bad idea, because the expectation of the customer, first 10 customer is free, then you will find very difficult to charge these customer in future, these 10-15 customers that you basically have provided the free software or free product. You will find them very difficult to convince and say that, hey, pay me now. For first 6 months I supported you for free, but start paying. Chances are these 10 customers will move away, because they are a bad customer. They have actually not respected your effort. But then this 10 first customers, if they are free, they will also have a rollover effect on other new customers, because customers talk to each other. And when they say that, hey, these 10 customers have not paid me anything, the next 20 customers will say, why you're charging me? So above all, I don't want to promote the idea that when you are a startup, when you are a small company, you want to basically create market for you, hence you end up selling products for free. That is something which I am totally against. Even from day one, your business plan must include a paying customer. Every customer is a paying customer. So when we talk about the customers, the top 100 customers, that is the sort of a benchmark for you to look at. And friends, remember, we are still in the planning state. We are not invested any money. It is something that we have come across a great idea in our mind, and we are struggling how do you basically convert that into a business. So I am giving you the second step of converting this potential to a customer. So we are now discussing about customer, because customer has to fund your business. Customer has to make the payment. If the customer is not making the payment, who's going to pay you? And especially you're paying from the pocket, your own pocket, or you're taking a loan, or you're taken you have done some fundraising. So somebody is paying for your production, whether it is you or somebody else. So if the customer does not pay you back, your business will not run. And that is how the business is. First you invest, then you collect it from the customer. So the whole idea is to basically find top 100 customers. Now this is again planning. You have identified the potential. Now you have to identify the customers. And first 100 customers, you have to know the first 100 customers by name. You cannot imagine things that these first 100 customers will be people like these. No, that is not what I'm trying to say. You have to know by names. And when you want to know them by names, that means you have to take these 100 customers in confidence. Now these 100 customers could be your relatives, could be your friends, family, it doesn't matter, but they have to pay you. So who are these first 100 customers who will actually end up buying your product? That is the planning that you need to do. And therefore, if you establish your company and then start thinking about the customer, it will be a lot more difficult, because now you have already invested, you put in your money, and now you're searching for your customer. That is a very, very difficult situation. So you have to think about the customer first before even you start investing money in this new idea. Now we have the market potential. Now with confidence of having the market potential, now you're saying that, look, if I establish my company, then where are my clients? Because if that potential exists in the market, there could be other competitors who are already selling to some XYZ customers. So those customers may or may not migrate to you. So even though there is a potential in the market, who are these customers who will end up buying from you? So you need to do a little bit of exercise. You need to know exactly where are these customers, what are the type of these customers, who will buy, who has the money, whether they have the requirement, whether they can benefit from this product, All kinds of analysis goes into when you look at the customer profile. And then once you have the potential customer profile, then you know exactly who is your client even before you start investing money. So this is, again, we are moving from market potential to identifying the customers who will actually end up buying from you. And first 100 customers you have to know by first name, last name, their revenue, balance sheet, where they exist, how many employees they have. You have to know them very well. The chances are that if you are a businessman, if you are into business, then networking is a big thing. And people who have a good network, that means they know some people in the market, it is a lot easier for them to basically set up a business, because the network will help them generate revenue. Now if you are having a great idea and you do not have a network of your own, then you have to rely on somebody who will bring that network to you. So at this point in time, you have to, when we're talking about the customer, when we're talking about this beast, the customer, this is where we talk about, what kind of partnerships you may be requiring in order to establish your business. And that is why, that this is a second bucket where you convert that potential into customers. And absolutely important, it is absolutely important to basically look at your customer profile and who can generate the business for you. Now if you have a network, it is a lot easier, but if you do not have your network, then it will be very difficult for you to basically do little bit of analysis also, to do little bit of fact finding also, because then you're limited only to your circle of friends and relatives. But if you have a network, then it is a lot easier to become a businessman, and you can then think about the idea to convert into a client who will make the payment to you. So once you've identified these top 100 customers, what you have to do now, you have to basically know exactly how much a customer is willing to pay you. Now how much? Now you can say that, look, my production cost or my own cost will be say XYZ. So how do I care if I charge for my services XYZ? Customer has to pay me XYZ. How does it matter? But that is not the way the real world works. Customer will pay you especially when you can solve certain pain points for him. And the customer, if the customer is not feeling any pain points, the chances are you will not get any business out of that customer. If your product can solve certain pain points, then only there is a requirement. So you know that there is a potential. We started off with studying the market potential. So you have identified that there is a potential, but this is a much more refined potential. That means the customers have a need. That means there is something going on in their business which is causing them to buy certain products which will solve them. Now when solve their issues. Now when we talk about solving issues, it could be related to reducing cost. Suppose your product is a sort of a raw material for the customer. For instance, suppose you are a steel maker. So ball bearing maker will actually buy the steel from you. So ball bearing needs steel. You are making steel and providing it to ball bearing maker. So if this is a situation, then obviously you're solving immediate sourcing problem for the customer. Your paying customer has to buy his raw material from you. So it's straight away, it's very, very straight that since your product is a raw material for somebody, that means that is your potential customer, potential customer. So how much they will like to pay, that is something that you need to do analysis. Now there are two aspects around it. One is, if you are having a pioneering product, something very new, which nobody has done that. So in that case, this step becomes a lot difficult. This steps becomes more um, more like a consultative selling kind of a thing, where you have developed something which is pioneering first time in the world, and therefore you will get the first mover advantage. However, you need to do lot of convincing, you need to spend lot of money, your marketing cost will be very high. You need to actually make people aware that look, I am coming out with this product, nobody else has this product, this is pioneering work, I'm doing R&D, I'm doing a lot of investment in this by employing so many scientists. So I'm actually doing all this work for you so that this new technology, new product can bring savings to you. So I will do the heavy lifting, you will get the benefit. So if you remember this, friends, because many people don't think about it, if you are in the space of pioneering technologies which are first mover, first time somebody is talking about it, then the business plan is lot more difficult. In fact, it's 1,000 times more difficult. But if you have something which is already being sold, then the business plan is lot easier. It depends on your networking, your skill itself. You don't have to exert extra to create that market. But if you are developing something which is nobody has done that before, then you are not only working on building the business, you're also working on building a market for that business. So I think this is a point that you have to understand very clearly, that how do basically which segment you lie. Are you a startup and you're looking at pioneering work, or are you a startup or a small business person or a mature business person who is already working in an established market? So this analysis will give you how much your customer would pay, because that is the question that we have, how much your customers are willing to pay. So if it is already established market, then there is something called market price. Then you will know exactly how much they are already paying to other competitors. And now at this point, you will now start talking about competition, because you have the customers, you have the names of the first 100 customers with you. You move from potential to customers. Now you have a list of 100 customers with you, and these 100 customers may or may not be buying from your competitors. So now you get into analyzing your competition. So at this stage, you will get the picture of getting into understanding what your competition is doing, what is the price at which they are selling, which customer is buying at which price. Now if you have to basically win these 100 customers, what you got to do, how much you need to price. So at this stage, again, remember, whatever we are discussing today, friends, we are only talking about planning. And how much your first 100 customers will be willing to pay is an analysis that you have to do even before you establish your company. Even if you have established your company recently, then this is the time you must do this analysis. Very, very critical, because if you have not done that, and if you have established your company on just the idea itself, and since it is very appealing to you, and you are very emotional about it, and because you are emotional, you have set up the idea, then this is something which is going to be very risky. And therefore you have to see clearly that how much the customer is willing to pay you, and that is why you need to understand what is the market price. Now, having done this analysis, and having done this understanding of how much your customer is going to pay you, you know fairly well that how much revenue you can get from top 100 clients or first 100 clients. And now you have to start thinking much more detailed about the product strategy. So now you have fairly good idea of who will buy, how I will sell, what price point I will sell, who are my competitors, for this particular product, etc., etc. So all of this will be discussed at this point in time. And now you're thinking about the production. And so let's go to the green board. So this is point number 3, where we start talking about the production. And this is something that everybody has to do, because these are the things where people commit mistakes. This is where people commit mistakes. And this is something that we have to keep in mind, that if you follow these steps, then you can never go wrong. And you don't want to basically invest your money and start thinking about it. Sometimes you can do that. You can actually invest money and start thinking parallelly. But I think it's very important for a businessman to know his customers, the type of customers, and then you can actually do analysis of, whether these customers are small company, large company, all that. That analysis will be part of your studying the potential itself, of the paying customer potential. How much is the business? I mean, in the sense that before you invest also, you have to know exactly how much revenue the top 100 customers or the first 100 customers will help you generate. And that will give you how you have to invest also. So now you have to think about production. And again, when you're running your business, you have to look at the product strategy. So product strategy is what type of product that you are looking at. If you're looking at a product which lasts for lifelong, that means end of story. Once you have done the production and you have supplied to your customer at some X price, after that there is no need for it. So because the product is so good that it will last for lifelong. So a company will be closed down after first 100 customers, because there is no further potential after first year of production. So you have to also now look at the product life cycle, because then there will be reorders. And when there are reorders, then you have to understand that how much time you take to produce that thing, and how much time the product lies on the shelf, and how much time it is going to be picked up by the client. And once the client consumes that product, after how many months, days, weeks, year, the client will come back to you and reorder that product from you. So this is something that is very important in terms of making your business plan, because now you are actually investing money. And once you invest money in the production, and if your product is not having suppose your product is having a very long shelf life, then obviously your cost of the product that customer willing to pay you, as we discussed in the previous slides, how much a customer is willing to pay you vis-a-vis how much revenue you will generate, and put them all together and see whether how much you need to invest. So that will this triangle will give you a fairly good idea of whether this idea itself is a viable idea, the idea that you're thinking. If you're not able to generate any money, why even invest? Because there is no point in making investment if there is no money in it. Typically, a business person, considering the cost of production, cost of sales, cost of employees, cost of different licenses, and etc., etc. So there are several costs associated with any business. So when we look at the business itself, there are and we look at the profit margin. The investment should be proportionate to how much business or turnover you're making. So this kind of analysis will give you that clear picture. What is the shelf life of the product, and how much that product for that product customer is willing to pay me, and what is my cost of production, and hence this is my profitability. So if you have not done this analysis, the chances are you will actually end up losing big time in terms of revenue. See, many people lose money when they establish business because they fail to do this analysis. So I'm telling you that you have to do this analysis before you establish a company itself. You have to know exactly what you're getting into, and if you're not doing that, obviously you will actually burn your fingers, you will suffer some losses, you will suffer some pitfalls, and you have not planned for it. You have not accurately calculated the cash flow cycles, etc. So this is an important aspect of your product strategy, is the life of your product. Either it is in your inventory, or if it is on suppose it's a retail product, then the inventory at the retailer or at the customer, when the customer is consuming, how quickly this product is consumed by the customer, so that the situation of reorder arises, so that you can make more business out of it. So this is an important aspect of any business. And as I was saying, that reorder cycle, again, this is an important aspect, that once you have identified that your product have a very short inventory cost, that means the storage after production is the short duration. For instance, if it is a consumable product, then obviously the shelf life of that consumable product is very short, because it will be consumed. There are customers who will actually pick up, use it. But if you have a car, more so if you have a car which costs $500,000, the shelf life of that business will be so long, because the customer will have to, you have to find a customer who's going to pay you $500,000 for that car. And what car does, it actually ferry you from point A to point B. A cheaper car can also do that. A mid-size car can also do that. You can also catch up a public transport, or you can actually buy a supercar which costs $1 million. So depends on where these $1 million customers are. So for you, if suppose you are a supercar manufacturer, you have to hold that inventory for longer time, and therefore you will have to sell it at a higher price. And therefore, when you are selling it at a higher price, you are basically looking at a very specific customer base who has the money to pay. So again, going back to market potential, for a car, there is a huge market. Everybody wants a car, but out of that car potential of that market, who is going to pay you the money that you want? That will cut out a small piece of the market, and that will be your customer. So you have to do that analysis. So similarly, suppose you buy a car of $1 million. Obviously, the customer will not buy another one in next 1 year. So the reorder of this product is also very long. You know, it takes a couple of decades before the customer basically replaces his loved car. You know, he loves his car, he maintains it nicely. Whereas if you are a consumer product, then it will be consumed quickly. So it depends on the product, and that is why the reorder cycle, you have to know exactly the type of product that you're planning to establish your business, or already established business. What is the reorder cycle of your business, and how much when the customer is going to pay again by buying this product from you. So that is why understanding reorder cycle is very, very important. And again friends, I'm repeating that this is the planning state only, not this is before you establish your company, because you don't want to basically burn your fingers by establishing a company first and then thinking about these things. So better think much before, during the planning phase, and then invest. So I'm only asking you to plan, and investment will come later. So I want to make it very, very clear that this is all on paper, that you're coming out with your analysis, your study, and step by step, date wise plan for your business. Very, very important, because most people don't do that and they suffer a lot. And I don't want the viewers of my counseling session to suffer that fate. We can go in detail in future sessions because this is going to be a daily affair. I will be meeting you every day for 1 hour. So we can go about any of these items in much more detail, but this is a high level plan. And since most people don't plan with so much granularity, I want to drive in this session that we must think about making a very granular plan in terms of business. So if you are watching me live, great. But even afterwards, once this live stream becomes a video, if you have any question, feel free to send in. So no problem, we can actually get and address your query. All right, so we have understood the reorder cycles. What are the next things that we need to look at? Now you have to start thinking about your investments, because now you have already got the market gist. You understood how the money flow from the customer is happening, and now you also know that who will be my probable 100 customers, first 100 customers, because if you are able to crack for first 100 customers, then you can double that tally quickly. Say for example, if you establish your business and you are able to close 100 deals in 6 months, then next 100 deals will take only 3 months. So the tipping point for success and failure is the first 100 customers. So now you know exactly this plan looks viable. There are 100 customers in the market who will pay me X amount for the product. Product will have this kind of workflow. That means I need to produce this, and I need to continue producing these products as long as these top 100 customers will keep buying at each interval, because there is a reorder value associated with that business. So you have a very clear idea of the cash flow situations right now. So now you're now looking at actual investment, because business requires investment, and a business cannot happen without any investment. You need to first invest or buy. Suppose you are a retailer, you need to buy the product at lower cost, sell it at higher price. So you need to basically invest the money, whatever the case may be. So now you're looking at, suppose you are a startup, an IT startup, you have to rent an office, you have to build up your team, you have to buy systems, you have to buy compilers, you have to buy websites, XYZ. So all of this is the investment that we are talking about. So now we know exactly the revenue that you may probably earn from the top 100 customers. But to service these top 100 customers, how much you need to invest? You need to plan that. So like you're talking about ramping up your customer base gradually, you also need to plan your ramping up of your investments as well. How your investment will grow with time, with revenue. So this is something that you need to plan. And if the point I want to drive here is that if your investment is more than the revenue you are generating, especially when you talk about 100 customers, then you have to basically look at how soon you can recover the first initial investment. For example, let's go back to the luxury car or a supercar market. Now the supercar players, they go in with a horizon of say at least a decade. They are not looking at so they are looking at investment for 1 decade, and they say that they will start making money only after 10 years. That means whatever investment they have made, which is like say for example $50 million to establish that car manufacturing unit, they may say that they will start making money or they will start generating profit only after they have sold top 100 cars, and the top 100 customers, 100 cars at least. So once they have sold 100 cars, then only they will start showing profit. And until the time they actually generate profit, they will actually say that they have not generated any profit, they are only investing at this time. So each business have a different nuance, but the point is that when you are actually investing, the investment has to be driven by a plan. And if you are say for example in a consumer market, then the plan is totally flipped. As the example of a car will not work here. It's totally flipped, because then you can plan that, okay, fine, my customer is going to pay me X, I can actually invest X minus Y, and then Y will be my profit margin. You can plan that. But then depending on the product, if your product is very premium, very exclusive, then obviously the customer you will not find customers on daily basis. You will have to struggle to find customers, and therefore your investment will also be a long-term investment. So this is part of the planning. Important point to consider when it comes to planning your investment for servicing your top 100 customers. So moving on to the next important point is, now you got a clear picture of how much is your investment when it comes to providing production for your first 100 customers. So you establish your factory, you have actually purchased machines, you have actually rented the premises. Very important aspect of the operation. Now you have to start operating. Important aspect of operating this plant is basically you need people, you need electricity, you need communication, you need wear and tear, etc. Maintenance of these machineries. This is standard to all products. And by the way, this is not going to undergo any change. Whatever information I have given you today will not undergo any change, whether AI is there or not there. So it is irrespective, because these are the basic principles which people tend to ignore many times. So operation cost is a component which has to be calculated separately, and that has to be part of your initial investment and ongoing recurring investment. Because once you establish your factory, and if you have not taken care of operations, obviously you will end up making loss. Because now if you have charged your customer based only on the factory cost and the value of the product, that means you have underpriced your product, and you have not considered the operation cost, which is the production operation cost. Only talking about the production, the cost which you will incur in producing those products in your factory. There are other things also when we have to consider that, but this is going to be the major cost item, the operations of your factory and also establishing your factory, which is the investment itself. What are the other areas of investment that we have to consider? The other point is the marketing channel. Now you have established a factory, you have established probable clients, you've done analysis of your customers. Now you have to reach out to them. You have to basically start selling your product to your customers. So if you basically produce and say that, okay, now I produce the best quality product, somebody will come and buy from me, that is not going to happen. You as a businessman, you have to go out to the customer and convince him that since I'm producing these products and I'm also a player, I will give you a sample, or whatever the case may be. You try my sample, and if you like, then please buy from me. So that much this is basic stuff. The sales is much more complex than that. So you need to basically look at your marketing channels before you start looking at the sales channel, because now you have to convey your message to the 100 customers in terms of brochures, leaflet, and today's world, it is all social media. How do you basically reach out to these using social media? Can you do an engagement plan with the customers? So can you drive your marketing strategy? All of that planning will have a cost associated with it, the marketing cost. And that is what I'm talking about, identifying the marketing channel. If it is a video based marketing channel, then there is a video production, artist, hosting cost, there could be thousand other channel cost, there could be advertising cost. So you need to identify what is your marketing channel for your product, and what is the cost of that marketing product, and for a period of time. So suppose you're working for a annual plan, how much you will actually incur in marketing in order to service these 100 clients. And remember that there could be a after sales support also, which can be clubbed into marketing, that you want to basically use either through WhatsApp or a physical line, or through a call center, or through a social media AI bot. But all of that will cost something to you, and you should have a fair idea of what is that service cost of marketing for my top 100 clients. So you need to identify these marketing channels, and how much these marketing channels in terms of manpower, in terms of systems, are going to cost you, because that will all go as part of your investment, and then you can show as an expense later on. But you need to plan for these expenses. Now the sales and distribution part of it. Now you've already created a buzz in the market by creating some sort of videos, or using different kinds of ad strategies, flyers, advertising, etc., etc. You've created a fairly good job of creating a buzz in the market. Now somebody has to go and sell, because obviously we are now coming back to the competition. If you are selling, so are other people selling, because obviously that is a potential customer. Nobody wants to leave that customer untouched. So if you are selling to that customer, chances are that 10 other players are selling to the same customer. And that is when understanding your competition will come. And this is a specialized job. That job is done by the sales people. The sales team has to be built effectively and has to be respected. Sales function has to be respected quite clearly. Either you do the sales activity yourself, being a CEO, or you hire the best person who can do that, who can do the convincing role for your product to a potential customer. Typically, sales and marketing cost is budgeted at the 15% of your total turnover. So suppose you're planning to invest something like $50,000 in your business, and you want to generate top 100 clients will end up giving you revenue of $100,000. So $100,000 will be your turnover. All the other costs have to fit in somewhere, but the largest cost of different operations, sales and marketing, is 15%, which includes your travel, salaries for salespeople, commissions, also communication, all of the advertising, marketing channel costs. So as a budget, you must have a thumb rule picture that suppose you are generating a turnover of $100,000, 15% you will need to spend consciously. It's an expense you need to spend on sales and marketing, sales team as well as marketing initiatives, and you must have a very clear idea of these aspects as well. So understanding, setting up sales and distribution channels, there could be a situation where your product is not directly sold to the clients, you are actually selling it to a distributor who will then sell it to the client. So back-to-back stitching of your sales support and distribution support has to be established. So those costs will have to be built into your planning, into the planning. And remember, as I said, we are not investing. This is a planning that we are doing before we actually invest even a single dollar into this business. That the idea that we worked upon. So now we are at the fourth bucket, which is converting our product to actual revenue. And now what it takes to convert, what it takes to generate a revenue, this is standard for all businesses. This is not going to change at all for any specific type of business. Even for education institutes, this is the template. If you want to open an education institute, this is exactly what you have to do. The steps, 4 steps that you need to follow. So now you establish the sales and marketing distribution. At this point in time, you have to look at the profitability target. So what is a profitability target? Some people say that, look, I'm investing $50,000, so I will like to now make at least $50,000, and that means I will charge more from the client so that all other expenses can be covered by the client itself. So that is one way of doing things. Other way of doing things is that you can actually optimize your operations so that your production cost, your sales and marketing cost, your operation cost can be reduced so that you become more competitive. So one ideology is that, okay, I will actually establish at the market price, whatever investment, I will jack it up to 2.5 times, and that will be my cost price to the client. Or other way is that you maintain the market price, what others are selling, your competition is selling, or probably sell lower than the competition, but bring in efficiencies in your production, in your sales and marketing, all the expense item that you have. Bring in the efficiency so that you can actually reduce your cost of production, reduce the cost of, probably you source your raw material from somebody who is actually willing to sell it at a lower cost. So your purchase department plays a key role. So as long as you are able to reduce your cost, then you will be able to survive at a higher profitability. And if you're just keeping the price just a notch below your competition, you will actually end up winning that deal, but you may end up making a lot of profit. So here is the planning stage where you start thinking about profitability. And remember, these are the things that you need to work on the sheet of paper, on a spreadsheet, with dates, actual figures, actual names, before you start investing. Because many people don't do that. They actually on whims and fancies, they actually start investing money in their companies, and they end up losing money, because obviously there is no bypass from all of this that I have discussed today. You cannot overlook any of these points and then establish your business and then say, okay, fine, I have become profitable. There is no shortcut in business, because your customers are intelligent, your competitors are intelligent, more intelligent, while you think that you are also intelligent, you are a clever person, but others are also. So you have to counter that as well. So therefore, all of this analysis has to be done by you, even before you start invest a single dollar into your business. Now you have to look at the another aspect which you may have heard, and I will not like to spend too much time today, because this is a very deep subject, which is time to market. How much time you take to market? Because more time you take to market your product will be lying in your inventory, and that will be a cost. So here, two aspects which are added very clearly: how much the storage cost of the produced item in your own premises, how much rental you need to pay, how much real estate it occupies while it is still waiting to be sold. So time to market will add extra expense on you. While many people don't think about this, but this is a very big thing when people basically talk about establishing a business. People definitely like to know exactly how quickly you can make money. For instance, let's talk about movies. The idea of any movie maker to make a movie is 3 months is the profitability. They are looking at 3 months plan. Moment the movie is released, they are looking at the business plan or hitting the box office within first 3 months. After the 3 months, they don't count the revenue. They say that, okay, now I have my movie has hit or it has flopped based on the performance of the first 3 months. So that is the time to market for a movie business. Similarly, your product will have a time to market, and therefore you need to know exactly what is the time to market for your product and what it takes to shorten this time to market's life cycle. What are the efficiencies, how you have to plan your supply chain. All of that has to go into your analysis when you are setting up your business. So once you have done that study, and you have fairly good picture of how the business will look like, this is all planning, uh, then you can invest. You have done fairly good planning, you are now very confident, and you know that you have actually thought through the entire business. You have not left, when it comes to planning, you have not left any stone unturned. You have taken care of converting that idea into potential, then how you will generate customers, then how customers will pay you, and then how you will be profitable. All of these ideas, plan, you have done on a piece of paper. Now you can stick your neck out and start investing the actual money. So this is something, this is something that we need to be very careful. My only request is that if you have any specific question, you can actually ask me. We can actually go in much more detail about these things, but this is a 90 feet plan, 90,000 feet plan, and still people don't do that. I've personally seen that at least 60 to 65% of the entrepreneurs today don't follow these basic rules. Some follow, but they may skip some steps, and then they lose out on a bigger picture. So if you follow these things, what I have told you in my counseling session, you can never fail. So with this, I will like to end my session today. I will catch you again tomorrow with something more interesting related to business. Until then, keep selling, keep rocking, and as always, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.